So a common idea that most upcoming artists have when they get directly out of high school is that they need to go to a specific college to learn how to get into the creative arts. That the companies they're going to apply to will judge their entire skill set by where they graduated from. And that's why they seem to have art confused with things like medicine and law. And last I checked, the big difference between these two realms is that you can't practice surgery at home and not get arrested. But what some people miss nowadays is that one of the perks of getting into arts like drawing, writing, and 3D modeling is that, especially nowadays, you can do it just about anywhere. It doesn't matter where you studied. What matters is that you have the drive to create on your own time. And that's why I'm back and forth between whether or not it's important to go to art school or spend the time you would normally on assignments to do your own. As someone who's already deep in a degree, but for not for any creative work, I was uberly confused. I had to do a good amount of technical work. You know, the fun stuff. So I thought I was automatically locked into living for what I was studying for, and nothing else. But part of me just felt so empty when doing the assignments. I just couldn't let that fly. So I took every chance I got outside of class to build up my gallery. Every free moment I had, I just didn't want to waste. Lunch breaks too. And let me tell you, tutorial videos were my salvation, man. So with enough time, I've been able to develop my own style and chat it up with other artists. Something I really regret not doing earlier. It just became an escape from everything else in my life. And that's one of the actual perks of being a self-taught artist that I wanted to throw out. I want to let my disciples know that art school is not the be-all, end-all path to a creative career. And all these points should help your lone, swirly, diverged path look more normal than you probably think. But first, I should probably get the cons out of the way. Take them for what you will. There's no guarantee you'll learn from trained professionals. Heck, that could even apply to taking classes too. Ding! You have to buy your own tools and software, and no student discounts. Ding! You're less likely to meet other artists in person on a daily basis. Ding! You won't be guided to the latest techniques and doodads. Ding! You can't ask questions from one reliable source in the same room with you. Ding! And last, you have to build up your own motivation to work on something that no one is telling you to do. Ding! Ish. Actually, that leads me to my first pro of being self-taught. You have to build up your own motivation to work on something that no one is telling you to do. That last one can be both a pro and a con. On one clause, sometimes we want to rely on a preset schedule that'll lead us to a goal we might not be confident in finishing ourselves. And on the other, you have the freedom to set whatever kind of goal you want and finish it whenever. And I get we're not like that all the time, and that's the next pro. You can decide what to learn from lessons and what to learn by yourself. Let's be honest, if there was a program you felt like you had to learn, are you really gonna have an easy time putting down your newest piece of art to learn it? I mean, you can try, but it could possibly mean putting your time away for another tool that could help grow your repertoire. That's why I think most classes you take are mainly good for skill sets that are not as much on the forefront of your mind. You let your instructor set up the path for you while you set up your own path for the main skills you want to hone. Cause in the end, they can't control how you put your lessons into practice. It would be like if you learned a new painting technique by yourself while also taking a class in Adobe Animate. You study just for what you need, not for everything the school thinks you need. And I have to say, thank you for the glory of skipping through the playhead on 2U tutorials. Next point, you can choose where to learn new skills. I have had courses where the instructor knew next to nothing about the subject matter. Not to mention the case where they give you outdated textbooks to work on your up-to-date software. That really doesn't help either. So the instructor tells you to Google all the answers, which was the worst. Look, if I wanted to do that, I would just learn the skills all by myself. Thank Glob nowadays you don't have to spend a lot of bits on learning the skills from one person. Even if the drawback is that they don't have to respond to your questions, there are hundreds of tutorials and frequently answered questions you can research. You can take as much or as little as you want from each source. Already know this part? Skip it. Was there a part you missed? Play it again. Put all the different conclusions together and make your own. Cause believe me, relying on just one source will get you into the nasty habit of relying on that one source and nothing else. And now we have the last point. You're more encouraged to make your own style. It's not all the time, but a lot of instructors in art courses do have a habit of forcing a specific style down your shirt. I mean, there's no doubt that some let you draw whatever's on your mind, but with most of the teachers I met, if you try to deviate a little bit from the image they give you, that's a point deduction. All those who are scorned for doing anime, say aye. Sometimes that's just bad growth for developing your creativity. Because when your objective in this assignment is copy this or fail, you're not really learning anything valuable. All you're doing is trying to avoid a consequence. It's always good to have a second opinion on what you're working on, and you can always learn about techniques you never knew existed, but I think a good learning resource should show you the basics of your tools, and give you the time to branch out from there. You can argue about it to death, but in a basic sense, art styles should be subjective. They just need to grow in quality in their own way. So if you keep these in mind, I think you can decide for yourself whether or not taking an art degree was worth the heavy bits. Though I just want to let you know, I'm not trying to push you away from that path. I already gave you the drawbacks of being self-taught, and if school sounds better for you, go for it. I just want to reach out to everyone who either can't afford it, or want to steer their way into arts even when they've already been studying something different. In situations like these, art college shouldn't be seen as a life requirement as much as so many others say it is. At the end of the day, it's all about hands-on experience. It's all about what you want to do. So if you're confident that you can learn all this by yourself, then go crazy. This is the Kenisu-of-Dragons. Go be a master.